And so I did a podcast recently where they asked me, how do you define success? And I look back at the player. If I just quantify it to the players that I have on the PGA Tour, 7 of my 8 players that I help in some capacity, whether it's full swing, full game, everything, or whether it's just short game in practice, all of them were short game in practice. But 7 of those 8 made it to the top 75 last year in the FedEx. And candidly, only Patrick Reed's really the only pure stud of that group. A lot of them are just very good players that are up and coming that just continue to get better. And hopefully we will get them to East Lake. They will get to East Lake. They will contend in majors. They will do all those things. But that, to me, is what I'm most prideful about, as you said, is players get better. They get better under some of the practice beliefs, the ideas that we have. And that's as dumb as it may sound, as cliche as it may sound, if you get a little better each day, it's hard to fail.
Yeah, it's that 1%. Just keep getting 1% better in all areas. Eventually, that adds up into something pretty significant. Eventually,
right? Correct. And so I kind of formulated my beliefs. I'm a big believer in writing things down, and I know you do that as well. And I wrote a lot of things down, almost kind of if I had it to do all over again as a player, if I had it to do all over again as a coach, how would I do it? And I kind of thought of, all right, there's let's just break golf down to the simplest form. Take away the mental side, but there's 4 physical areas of the game. There's full swing, there's chipping, pitching, and bunker, short game. There's putting, and there's distance wedges. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have fairway bunkers. Yes, you have punch outs. You have different, but for the most part, those are your 4 physical areas of the game. And I look back on it and go, how many days did I ever spend equal time in those areas of the game? Never, ever. Every time I meet with a tour player and they want to know what I do, every time I meet with a junior in a family and they want to know what I do, that's what I talk about. And I ask them this question, and unless somebody's lying, they've never done that. Well, why wouldn't you? Yes, stats are going to show that probably total driving and putting are going to be the two most important stats, and then right behind that is strokes gained approach to green usually leads to the winner. But having said that, why would we want to have a weakness? So my goal is that, hey, very rarely are all 4 areas of those games going to click in a day. When that happens, you shoot 65. But if we can get 2 out of the 4 of those doing pretty well, it's going to make our bad rounds better and our good rounds great. And then within those areas, you've got your technical work, you've got your random practice, and then you've got your competitive work. Well, I know for a fact I spent way too much time in technique in every area. We both know our best players are the ones that we would see going over and having chipping contests with their teammates, and then they would go to the first tee and go play. Our players that didn't really develop as well spent way too much on that time with, in the V1 room or looking on swing cattles or looking on things that, yes, hey, there is a great need for those. There is a need and there's a time and place for those. But in my mind, that's not genuinely making players better. And I was shocked in going out and in my first couple, Patrick Reed hired me in 2015. This really defined my career of what the niche was, what was needed out on tour, and what I needed to do for players. He called me in end of 2015. He had gone 18 straight events without a top 10 on the tour. So he thinks he's playing the worst golf of his life. He's still doing okay. So he calls me to come up to Boston to work with him for the first playoff event. We worked for 4 days straight, Sunday through Wednesday before the tournament starts on Thursday, going through all these kind of beliefs that I'd written down and how to practice and equal time in each areas and all this stuff. And he goes out and finishes 4th. And so I think I'm the greatest coach in the world. He thinks I'm the greatest coach in the world. I'm going, this stuff's easy. What are these guys doing? Far from the truth. But anyway, we show up on Monday the next week in Chicago at Conway Farms. Typical Patrick style. We finish on Sunday night. He's ready to go at it Monday morning at 8 o'clock to get back after it. And so we meet, and I look at him on the putting green, and I won't use the word that he said, but I simply said, hey, Patrick, what do you want to do today? And he looked at me in a pretty harsh tone and said, Coach, I didn't hire you for that reason. I hired you to show me the way I swing the club, which scared me to death. But at the same time, it was the ultimate compliment. He trusted in me to make him better. He trusted in me to, as a Coach K would show up at a basketball practice, the players show up, they don't really know what they're doing that day, but he runs them through a practice. Same with Patrick. I'll figure out how to swing the club. I'll figure out how to do what you tell me to do, but I need somebody to show me the way to how to get better. And that really defined my role for what I do now. Yes, there's a lot of technical components to what I do, especially in the short game and some in the full swing. But for the most part, it's structure. It's a practice plan. It's a syllabus that all my players have that, hey, I know they're going to follow it much more closely when they're with me. When they're on their own, they're not going to follow it as closely.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can follow it 50% of that, it's a heck of a lot better than what they were doing before. And that's where I see, I hate to call it a business, but it is. It's coaching. It's still coaching. But that's where the business has kind of continued to grow because players keep getting better. And that's why I get interest from a lot of guys and a lot of juniors, because it's, when asked what I do, I just kind of say I'm a hybrid. If you need swing technique, I'm happy doing that. You know, all my guys are short game and practice, but the swing stuff and even the short game stuff, where I believe we've gone backwards in teaching, that we're teaching technique to hit shots as opposed to hitting shots to fix technique.